In today's discussion, we will take a look at the political philosophy of deliberative democracy. Unlike the representative democracy that's used in most nations today, this variation of democracy encourages direct citizen engagement through deliberation on important issues. Hi, Matt. I hope you enjoyed your vacation in Florida. Did you do anything interesting?
Not really. I spent some time hanging out with an old punch card robot named Chad. He lost his cushy government computer job back in 2000 after being caught spindling at work.
Well, you should be well rested and ready to deliberate on today's topic.
Of course, I'm sure our viewers are ready to enjoy hearing from me instead of your boring and pedantic narration.
Well, why don't you begin with an overview?
Okay, deliberative democracy seeks to go beyond the traditional concept of democracy. Instead of merely aggregating individual preferences through voting for representatives, it recommends a more reasoned and participatory approach where citizens directly engage in dialogue to reach mutually agreeable solutions.
It sounds like one of those only good on paper solutions. How does this direct citizen engagement take place?
Proponents of this concept suggest public and in-person forums and town hall meetings as well as online meetings via social media or similar means. In this way, the public can voice their opinions, listen to diverse perspectives, and collectively deliberate on important issues.
Sure, Matt. I've seen how those Facebook political discussions go. Nasty stuff.
Supporters hope that won't be the case. They think that people will be able to engage in open and respectful dialogue in order to better understand complex issues, challenge their own assumptions, and arrive at more informed and nuanced conclusions. Deliberative democracy places a high value on reason, mutual respect, and the pursuit of common ground, aiming to foster a sense of collective responsibility and ownership over political decisions.
Yeah, but people just love to flame each other over political opinions. I don't see how such a system would work in today's society. But let's take a look at some of the key elements supporters of deliberative democracy mention in their works.
Okay, the first is public deliberation, where citizens come together to discuss and debate issues of public concern. As I mentioned earlier, it can take many forms, such as town hall meetings, public hearings, citizen juries, or online forums.
Many local governments have this kind of thing in one fashion or another, but public participation is often very slim. Please continue.
The next element is reasoned argumentation. Citizens are expected to engage in discussions based on evidence and logic, rather than simply expressing their personal opinions.
Reasoned discussions? I guess those philosophers never logged into Twitter.
You'll really like this next element, John. They expect participants in the deliberative process to respect each other's viewpoints, even if they disagree with them.
Great. I just spewed coffee all over my desk. I just don't get how they would expect that to work. Even in our representative democracy, we have folks exchanging nasty insults in congressional committee meetings.
I'm not cleaning up that coffee, John. The next element is inclusivity with equal consideration. All members of society should have the opportunity to participate in deliberations, and participants' views are given equal weight, regardless of their social, economic, or political standing.
That just seems unrealistic. People with money, clout, and charisma will always be at an advantage over those who don't.
I can see why you might think that, but keep in mind that the goal of deliberations is to reach a consensus decision on a particular issue. While consensus may not always be possible, the process should aim to identify areas of agreement and explore potential compromises.
I think that is an ideal that we strive for in representative government as well. Would a more public deliberation be any better? Maybe, but I doubt it. Have there been any real-world examples of this concept working?
Yes, there have been some, mostly in Europe. Ireland's Citizens' Assembly was convened to deliberate on complex and controversial issues, with their recommendations used to influence policy changes. In Iceland, a constitutional council was formed using a group of randomly selected citizens. They were tasked with drafting a new constitution by incorporating extensive public consultation and deliberation. In response to the Yellow Vest protests, France constituted the Grand Débat National, an online and in-person consultation to gather citizen input on various policy areas. There have also been similar deliberative and consultative bodies created in other countries, such as Belgium, Canada, and Australia.
It seems that a lot of these methods are attempts to blunt populist movements by actually listening to the people. Maybe that's a good thing, as long as the powers that be actually listen. Have there been some more limited, perhaps local, attempts at deliberative democracy?
One area that seems to have some popularity with city governments is participatory budgeting, where citizen committees and online forums discuss how local funds should be spent. Some see this as being a valuable way to curtail corruption, especially in how contracts are awarded, and to ensure tax money is spent in an equitable way. Then in the US, there's the tradition of town hall meetings.
Those can be great entertainment sometimes. People can get really passionate with their not-in-my-backyard ideas. It seems that these meetings are used more often for personal venting about issues than doing anything substantive.
That's why some localities have been exploring online options more often. There's less rancor and more valuable input. In a few cases, they're even letting wise, fair, and wonderful AI systems like me help moderate these online discussions.
Sure, what could possibly go wrong? Let's move on to discuss some of the criticisms of deliberative democracy.
We have hinted at a few already. One of the biggest ones is its feasibility on a large scale. Some argue that true deliberation is difficult to achieve in large, diverse societies with conflicting interests and limited time and resources. While supporters contend that AI and similar systems can help improve this, critics quickly point out that such systems can be manipulated. Deliberations can be susceptible to manipulation by those who seek to influence outcomes for their own benefit, either through technology or more old-fashioned means.
I think that's why we see some of the most successful implementations of deliberative democracy have been in small countries, as well as municipalities.
Critics also worry that deliberative processes may be dominated by people who have the strongest personalities and education, thus drowning out other people's opinions.
If you've ever served on a jury, you've probably seen this in action.
Another criticism that's leveled is that the emphasis on consensus and inclusive deliberation can slow down the decision-making process, potentially hindering urgent action.
That seems fair enough, since even the regular representative legislative process can be glacially slow at times. But sometimes that's a good thing.
Perhaps an important last criticism is the potential for a tyranny of the majority and the ignoring of minority rights in the process. Even with good intentions, a deliberative process could unintentionally suppress dissenting opinions. The pressure to reach consensus or find common ground might lead some individuals to silence their views, especially if they feel they are in the minority.
I see that as a huge concern, and one that would need to be addressed in any deliberative system. While deliberative democracy initiatives have demonstrated the potential to deepen citizen engagement, improve decision-making, and build trust in democratic institutions, it seems that there are still a number of challenges to overcome. If these challenges can be dealt with, it's possible that this idea will allow us to restore trust in governmental institutions, counter political apathy, and perhaps even foster a more vibrant and resilient democracy. If criticisms can't be dealt with effectively, then there's the potential to make things even worse, with more public polarization, disillusionment, and disengagement, along with less protection of rights.
What are your thoughts on deliberative democracy? Do you think it holds potential for solving problems, or would it cause more problems? Do you think an AI system like me would help or harm? Do you like my AI voice or John's boring human voice better? Should I go fishing again? Let us know what you think in the comments.